Today, we're diving into a critical turning point for the global economy. A massive power shift is coming in 2026, and one nation, Bangladesh, sits right at the epicenter. The country faces a strategic choice that's going to define its future, and we're going to break down exactly what is at stake. One pattern I've consistently observed is this. Major shifts in global power, they don't happen when things are calm. They're forged in moments of transition, of disruption. And right now we are living through one of the biggest transitions in modern history, which really begs the question, who's going to come out on top? To get a handle on this, we first need to look at a fundamental change happening in the engine room of the world economy, the global supply chain. And we're not talking about a minor adjustment here. This is a complete rewiring of how the world produces and trades. For the last 2 decades, the name of the game was simple: efficiency. The old model was all about one thing: optimizing for the lowest possible cost. But today, the new model is all about resilience. It's not just about saving a buck anymore. It's about optimizing for survival in a really volatile world. And the data behind this shift is pretty stark. You have more than 3/4 of global firms now flagging major disruption risks. Lead time volatility, that's how long it takes to get things, has shot up by 30 to 40%. So what's the result? Well, companies are no longer putting all their eggs in one basket. They're building parallel supply chains, and they're actively moving production away from depending on a single country. This isn't just a trend, it's a structural necessity. So this huge global shift creates a massive opportunity. And for Bangladesh, the year 2026 isn't just another year on the calendar. It represents a strategic inflection point, a moment that's going to define the country's trajectory for the next 50 years. In fact, this source material calls 2026 a definitive structural break. This isn't about incremental growth. We're talking about a profound transformation, a point of no return, where the old rules just don't apply anymore. Why? Because you have 3 massive forces all converging at the exact same time. And this is that convergence. On February 12th, the country is set to hold its first truly competitive election in a generation. Then, 9 months later, on November 24th, it formally graduates from its least developed country status, which totally changes its trade relationships with the world. And to top it all off, by the end of that same year, the game-changing Mattabari deep-sea port becomes fully operational. You've got politics, economics, and infrastructure all hitting a critical point in a single year. Now, to seize this moment, Bangladesh has to leverage its most powerful and maybe its most underestimated asset: its geography. This is what gives the country such a unique strategic advantage. Just look at a map. Bangladesh sits at the very top, the zenith of the Bay of Bengal. Geopolitically, it acts as a critical hinge, a pivot point that connects the huge economic blocks of South Asia and Southeast Asia. It's literally a bridge between 2 of the world's most dynamic regions. And why does this location matter so much? Well, it comes down to this number. An estimated 90% of all world maritime trade either enters or passes directly through the Bay of Bengal. Influence in this spot is influence over the arteries of global commerce. It's that simple. So what does it actually mean to be a hinge? It means becoming indispensable. It means you are central to maritime security, to the stability of those vital sea lanes, and to the entire logistics network of the region. A hinge nation isn't just another participant. It's the fulcrum on which the whole system pivots. But look, having a great position isn't enough. You need a strategy to actually activate it. And that brings us to the actionable framework designed to do just that, the 5-pillar strategy. The framework is called the Bangladesh Strategic Leap Architecture, and its main goal is ambitious, but it's crystal clear: to transform the nation's role from just being another factory for the world, a replaceable link in the chain, into a strategic ecosystem that is deeply integrated and absolutely indispensable. And here are the 5 pillars that hold it all together. First up, supply chain deepening. This is about moving beyond basic garments into high-value sectors like technical textiles, electronics, even pharmaceuticals. Second, logistics time compression, using that new infrastructure to compete on speed, not just on cost. Third is a big one: talent reconfiguration, shifting away from a cheap labor advantage to a high-skill advantage in things like AI and analytics. Fourth, digital and AI integration. You embed that technology across the board to just multiply your efficiency. And finally, the 5th pillar, strategic neutrality, using that hinge position to become a connector economy that can trade with everyone, making itself essential to all the competing global powers. So, this all leads to a clear and really an unavoidable choice. It's a choice between two starkly different futures, one where you're reactive and one where you're strategic. Because here's a fundamental truth that a lot of nations underestimate. In most global systems, growth isn't linear. It's not just about working harder. It is positional. It's about where you place yourself within the system. Your position is what determines your potential. And this table really lays out the consequences of that choice. The reactive path, business as usual, that leads to moderate growth, sure, but low export diversity and a global position that is ultimately replaceable. But the strategic path, implementing those 5 pillars, that unlocks high growth, a truly diversified export economy, and a global position that's strategic and indispensable. And this leaves us with a final, really powerful question. At this critical moment, is Bangladesh going to simply wait to be chosen by the shifting tides of the world economy? Or is it going to use this moment to position itself so that it absolutely cannot be ignored? The coming decade won't just reward effort, it will reward strategy,